There is a clock on the wall of every ice rink in this country. For years, one of them was the only fixed point my son had. He found his sport on the ice. Figure skating, one of the few places the world finally fit him. He had a coach who understood him and a routine set to music, and he could skate it beautifully, as long as the music kept playing. Because every so often the music would stop or skip. And the instant it did, he was gone. Still skating, but freestyling now. Out in the middle of the ice, completely untethered. With no way back onto the routine, the steps were in there somewhere, but without the music running underneath them, he couldn't find where he was. That's what the clock was for. His coach taught him to find it. When the music dropped, he looked up at that clock, and the clock told him where in the routine he was supposed to be. It was his siren in the fog. I didn't understand back then that I was watching the whole problem on the ice in real time. I'm a physician, and it still took me years to see the thing that happened when the music stopped was the thing that was happening everywhere else too. My son cannot feel time. He is 16 now. He has a beard. He can debate me into the ground, and he still asks me what time it is about 12 times if we sit in a room that doesn't have a clock in it. Before we leave the house for anything on a loop, how long will it take to get there? What time will we arrive? What time do we have to leave? Not to be difficult, because the answer doesn't stay. Time won't hold still in his head long enough to be useful. If your child treats every deadline like an ambush, even the ones you have reminded him about 10 times, this video is for you. Because it is not defiance, and it is not stalling. To your child, 5 minutes and 100 million years feels roughly the same. So, today, what time blindness actually is, and why it is not something he can try his way out of, why your reminders are quietly making it worse, how to make invisible time visible, and the trick for the project that isn't due yet, the one that always becomes a 10 p.m. catastrophe. Point 1. What time blindness actually is. A lot of ADHD brains have two settings, now and not now. That is a description, not a diagnosis, but it will predict your week better than anything else in a textbook. Homework due next Friday isn't a bit far away. It's in the same bucket as the era of Shakespeare, not now, therefore not real, right up until it snaps into now, at which point it's a blaring fire alarm. That is a future he genuinely cannot feel coming.
It is a nearsightedness to the future. Just as people who are nearsighted can only read things close at hand, people with ADHD can only deal with things near in time. The further out the event lies.
Point 2. Why reminders backfire. When your child can't feel time, you become his clock. You carry it for him. But to him, the reminders come out of nowhere, and it lands as an ambush. And you already know how a brain with a slow break handles an ambush. You cannot remind a child into feeling time. You can only move time out of your head and put it somewhere he can see it. On the ice, the fix was a clock on the wall. Point 3. Make time visible. Rule 1. He needs to see time shrinking, not read a number. A digital clock means nothing to a brain that can't feel the distance. But a timer he can watch empty, a wedge of color draining away, turns time into something his eyes can track. They are a prosthetic for a sense that he does not have. Rule 2. Give the task a visible budget. Not do your homework. Instead, this sheet gets 15 minutes. Now the invisible thing has a firm edge. But there's one place where visible time is the hardest, and it's where the biggest disasters live. The project that isn't due yet. We just established that if you can't see the finish line, you can't start the race. Well, if a 10-minute transition is hard to feel, a 2-week deadline is impossible because it exists entirely in the not now zone. To your child, next Friday is not far away. It just does not exist. You fix it by dragging the future into today. You take the deadline and you walk it backwards into now-sized pieces. Not work on your project. Instead, tonight, pick the topic. That's the whole job. Each step small enough to live in now, because now is the only place that he can actually work. This is scaffolding, not a cure. You aren't failing him by using tools. You are successfully offloading the executive function he does not have. My job was to teach him to find the clock on the wall, so when the music drops, and it always will, he knows exactly where he is. He will probably never feel 5 minutes, but he can see them now, and that turned out to be enough. Everything here is for informational purposes only and isn't a substitute for care from your own physician. You already knew that.